What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here. And what I got for your face balls today is a budget blade battle. So, we're going to talk about these three knives right here. And yeah, we'll get into it and talk about the pros and the cons and the good, the bad, and everything in between. First off, I want to say I got a couple of announcements to make, if you will. If you're watching this the day that this video goes up, we will be doing a live stream on Sunday. Let's see, it is February 9th, and that'll happen at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And yeah, should be pretty cool. We got some new announcements to make. We're going to do some fun stuff on the channel and try to make things a little more interactive, which should be pretty cool. So if you're available, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Sunday, February 9th, come check it out. It's a good time. And yeah, we have, like I said, some announcements to make. It should be pretty cool. And on another note, if you will, I got some stickers from my man Patty's Potato Peelers. And if you guys aren't familiar with him, go check him out. I'm sure everybody's familiar with him, but if you're not, go check him out. And then, you know, some other great channels to go check out. Hilltop Knives and Gear, Blade Banker, Big Red EDC, Zach Stuff. Yeah, I'm sure I'm forgetting all sorts of people. Well, I know I am. Stasa23. Definitely some really awesome channels out there doing some really cool stuff. So I encourage everyone to go and check out Gerald at Outpost 76. Super Steel Steve, he's I haven't even watched his latest. I've been so busy with work and stuff. I don't haven't had a chance to really watch anybody else's stuff, but anyway, definitely some really cool channels out there, so go check them out. So I was just kind of in my own opinions, if you will. So all of this is subjective, but these are kind of the three knives that I settled on for. I was really trying to be under $50, but the shredder is so good. So just real quick, if for those that don't know, the knives that we're looking at here, this is the Civivi Shredder. This one here in the center is a TwoSun TS-165 oval. They make also the 165 pane, and these are G10 budget options. So G10, 14C28N, cool knife. I did modify this one. I dyed the scales red. This would otherwise be black and white. So, and then this here, we're looking at a really cool Dylan Mallory design. This is the CJRB Centros. So, both the Shredder and the Centros are G10 scales with D2 blades. And all three of these knives are riding on bearings. All three of them have deep carry clips. All three of them are full-size knives. Very, very similar in size and weight and all the stuff. So, we'll get into some size or the sizes of these knives real quick. And I'm just going to rattle them off, all the dimensions and stuff. So, overall length. On the Centros, you got 8.318 inches. The Shredder, 8.599. And the TwoSun is 8.603. Handle length is 4.743 inches, 4.8, and 4.843. Blade length, we have on the Centros, it is 3.575. The Shredder is 3.799, and the TwoSun is actually a little bit shorter, is 3.760. Handle thickness, if we can get them to stand up like this. There we go. So on the Centros, you've got a handle thickness of 0.54, so just a little over a half inch. On the Civivi Shredder, it is 0.514, so just barely over a half inch. And then on the TwoSun, you have 0.64. However, these are contoured scales, so that is thicker in the middle. It does not feel that thick in hand, so kind of take that with a how you will. And then blade stock thickness on the Centros, you have 123 thousandths. On the Shredder is 115 thousandths, and on the TwoSun, it's actually the blade stock back here, you know, at the pivot is 140 thousandths, but the entire blade is actually thinner than that. It's right at around 130 thousandths at its thickest point right here in the middle. So, behind the edge thickness, all three of these are ground fairly well. On the Centros, you got 19 thousandths, and it is a flat ground blade, and you can see it is a stone wash finish. On the Shredder, this is a satin finish, and this one is 16 thousandths behind the edge, and it is hollow ground, which is really beautiful. And then on the TwoSun, you have another flat ground blade here with this really nice swedge across the top, and this one is 14 thousandths behind the edge. So ground really aggressive. Weight on these three. The Centros weighs 4.049 ounces. The Shredder is 3.817 ounces. And the TwoSun is 4.469 ounces. So all three of these, they compete really well against each other, except for one kind of obvious thing is the blade steel on the TwoSun. So as I said before, both the Centros and the Shredder are both G10 scales. You can get them in different colors and D2 blades. Bearings, liner lock, deep carry clip. And this is configured the same way. Bearings, liner lock, deep carry clip. However, the TwoSun is rocking 14C28N. All three of these knives have fantastic action. Blades are centered, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. All three of these knives are spectacular quality, especially for the money. You do have a lanyard hole, and this is a really cool way to do a lanyard hole here. So this thing actually, if I can get this in there, this rotates, which is super cool. I'm not a lanyard guy, but I do like the way they did the lanyard pin here. I just think that's a really cool deal. Like you can see there, it rotates freely. So it's a cool way to do a lanyard that doesn't affect the aesthetics of the knife. And I really, really dig that. The CJRB, the pocket clip is reversible, as well as on the Civivi, pocket clip is reversible. On the TwoSun, it is not. So this is right hand tip up carry only. And for those that have been watching my channel for a while, you guys probably know I am left-handed. And so I very well might drill an extra hole on this side and tap the scale so I can flip the pocket clip around potentially. I don't know if I'll go through the trouble of doing that. Just I'm so used to carrying on the right side anyway. It's not that big of a deal anymore. But anyway, that's what we're looking at. So actually, I'm going to start with the Centros. So the Centros is the only one here that is a thumb stud knife, and it's thumb stud exclusively. You do have some nice meaningful jimping up here on top. It does have, you know, a little bit of a mohawk look, which is, you know, I really like the aesthetics of the Centros. I think it's a really good looking knife. Ergonomics, I think this is probably something that for me is a little bit, it's different for me than probably most people, but I have large hands. So for me, the knife is a little bit too narrow right through here. It's not terrible, but I did cut testing with all three of these, and I cut hundreds and hundreds of feet of cardboard with all three of these knives. And I'm going to get into the test cutting results here in a minute, but I did, you know, put all three of these to use quite extensively. And ergonomically, this one was the worst of the three for me. Now, I do believe someone with smaller hands, this wouldn't be as big of a deal. Let's just throwing it out in here. Let me grab my calipers here. So, in this, you can see that the lock bar side does stick up quite a bit. but you know, you're under 3/4 of an inch right there. And just to put that into comparison on the other two, right in that same area, you're almost an inch on the Civivi. And on the TwoSun, you're over 8/10 of an inch. So, you know, this here being, you know, around 7/10 of an inch. And then on the other side, the non-lock bar side or the show side, you're actually 0.637. So it's really pretty narrow in this way. You know, it's pretty narrow. The other ergonomic issue on the Centros is the clip. The clip really dug into my hand pretty good. I used, when I did the cut testing, I used my right hand. And I'm going to show you the differences here. So on the TwoSun and on the Civivi both, and on most knives actually, you can see that the pocket clip tapers down to this point here. So it comes down at an angle, you know, the TwoSun is straight and then it bends down. On the Civivi, you have a nice consistent angle all the way. But on both of these clips, I think that's the main difference, because if you look on the CJRB, that's a straight clip with this little U shape here at the bottom. For whatever reason, it's not as comfortable in the hand, in my hand. Now, I say that, I also gave this knife to my wife, and I had her try out all three of these. And that was the first thing that she said, was that this pocket clip dug into her hand as well. So she has much, much smaller hands than I do. But, you know, like I said, for me, she didn't complain about this being too narrow, but she did complain about the pocket clip. So, for me, the pocket clip's fine going in and out of the pocket. Just ergonomically, it creates a pretty good hot spot down right in this area, and it hits you, you know, right there, you know, right in this area, at least on my hand. So that's something that that she said immediately, and I noticed as well. With both of these knives, she thought that the pocket clips just disappeared. She actually thought that the TwoSun was the most ergonomic out of the bunch, and I think that's due to the contoured scales. The Civivi, they are flat scales. However, they do have large radius chamfering going all around the edges. So in order of ergonomics, and I tend to agree, the TwoSun was the best, the Civivi was second, and the Centros was third. Now, overall aesthetics, this is purely subjective, and, you know, that's completely up to, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So whatever you think there for aesthetics, I think they're all good looking knives. And yeah, so really whatever you have to say about that, I can't say one is vastly different than the other. Yeah, so we're just going to leave that alone. Now, I do like the multiple opening or deployment options that the Civivi gives you, because you can Spidey flick it. You can, I screwed that up. Well, either way, you can thumb flick it, and of course you can use the flipper tab. And the TwoSun has only the flipper tab, and then the CJRB has only the thumb studs, but it is dual thumb studs, so you can Spidey flick this as well. And yeah, that works well. Deployment on all three of these is really great. You know, if you like thumb stud knives better than flippers, then I'm not going to argue with you. That's your personal opinion. I like them both. Doesn't really bother me. Like I said, I do like that this offers multiple opening or deployment options. But again, not a huge thing either way. All three of them carry great in the pocket. All three are good going in and out of the pocket. No issues there at all. The TwoSun, because of these ribs, this thing is ribbed for her pleasure. You would think that it would be, you know, tear up your pants. It actually does not, which is nice just because these are so rounded. They're just very smooth and rounded. Now, it does offer real meaningful traction in your hand, but definitely does not tear up your pants, which is spectacular. So as it applies to cutting, there was a noticeable difference with the Civivi when I was doing the cardboard cut tests, just due to blade thickness and the hollow grind. When all three knives were sharp and ready to go, the Civivi glided through the cardboard better than the other two, no doubt. So, in order of how well they were to glide through material, the Civivi was the best with its thinner blade stock and hollow grind. The TwoSun was second in that category, and the Centros was third, just because this is a full flat grind. It comes to its full thickness and carries it pretty much all the way out to about here. There's not a tremendous amount of distal taper there. Whereas on the TwoSun, you do have this area right here where it comes up, and this is the thickest point, and then you have this swedge at the top. So this is very, very thin behind the edge, and so it cut extremely well also. But yeah, as far as cutting thicker, denser material, the Civivi is going to be the best, TwoSun second, and the Centros third. Now, as it applies to edge retention, so we will do this right here. So we're going to get into the cut test results. So like I said before, these two are D2 blade steel, where this one is 14C28N. So this really is not a fair fight. However, the prices of these three knives would dictate that, you know, these are essentially in the same category, if you will. They are all budget G10 on bearing liner locks, deep carry clip. You know, they're all made in China, and they're all good quality knives from, you know, I'm not sure who the designer is on the Civivi. I don't know if that's in-house designed, but of course you have Dylan Mallory that designed the Centros, which it's a great knife. And then the TwoSun is a Wong design, and they offer this in many versions. And I can't remember if this is riding on ceramic bearings. I'm pretty sure that it is. I'm pretty sure that all of them are riding on ceramic bearings, but I think the Civivi, if I remember correctly, has a steel detent. I could be wrong on that. For sure, this is ceramic bearings, ceramic detent ball. The other thing about the action on the TwoSun is you do have a detent ball ramp. You can see the little U shape there, and that offers for some beautiful action. The blade is obviously a bit heavier on the TwoSun compared to the Civivi, and the blade's just a little bit longer than the Centros. All three have got very good action. You know, you do have to kind of wiggle them or to get them to close. They're not just free dropping, but with the Shredder, you do have to wiggle it a little harder, and that's just because the blade is so much lighter. You know, you've got the thinnest blade stock as well as hollow ground, plus the big hole cut out. So you just don't have a lot of weight, so gravity can help out. Deployment, fantastic on all three. Detents are dialed in perfectly. They flip reliably 100% of the time. No issues there at all. Okay, so let's get into the cut testing. So I did two tests with each knife, and I just averaged the results. So I'm just going to give you one number. You know, if I can figure out how to get some pictures in here, I will. But you guys can check out my Instagram. I posted some pictures of the piles of cardboard that I cut with these three knives. All of this was done in a 1-inch section of blade, so I taped the blades off, and I cut cardboard until they would no longer reliably shave arm hair, and called that number the fine edge, and then proceeded to cut cardboard until they would no longer reliably cut a held sheet of printer paper, and we call that the working edge. So these test parameters, if you will, are the same that Gerald at Outpost 76, the same that BJ over at Hilltop Knives and Gear, Super Steel Steve, Tom Hosang at Tom Hosang Outdoors. That's another channel. Go check him out. I don't think I mentioned his name earlier. Anyway, we're trying to keep all of our testing parameters the same, so we can hopefully start to build a large database of all the knives out there and what they're capable of. All right, so none of these three have been tested by Kurt. Oh, that's another channel. Like I said, I forgot all kinds of people. Kurt over at JCool19. Check him out. He does all the HRC testing for several guys. He's tested a bunch of my knives. Just a really great guy. And then check out his wife on Instagram, Beth, at Mrs. J Cool. She does a lot of hanks and some really cool stuff and putting people's logos in with embroidery and stuff. It's really cool. Anyway, so let's get into these cut test results. So on the CJRB for fine edge, and actually one more thing, I forgot to mention this. So for those that don't know, I did get a sharpness tester, and so I was doing a lot of before it was shaving arm hair and cutting a held sheet of paper. Now this is obviously going to be a much more reliable method and repeatable method if we have two numbers, one for fine edge, one for working edge. Now, this measures in grams for those that don't know, and this particular model that I have, it measures in 5-gram increments. So, which is totally precise enough for what we're doing. The difference between 50 grams and 55 grams is not a whole lot. So this is definitely getting down to a good enough precision that it's repeatable and all of that. So the two numbers that I came up with was right around 300 on the sharpness tester. If you measure an edge and it comes up 300 grams, that's about the point where they no longer shave arm hair. So I'm calling 300 grams the fine edge holding. And then with the working edge, 450 grams is where I've come to find no longer reliably cuts printer paper. So those are the two numbers that I'm going to use until I dial it in a little better. But first up, we had the CJRB with its D2 blade steel. And this thing did an average of 86 feet fine edge. And at that point, it was, after 86 feet, it was on the sharpness tester was 320 grams. That's where it would no longer shave arm hair. So again, we're going right around that 300 number. And then on the working edge, it did 121 feet of cardboard. And at that point was testing 465 grams on the sharpness tester. So that was number 3 in the edge retention results. The Civivi the Civivi Shredder. Sorry about that. This knife, also D2 blade steel. Now, it is hollow ground, and it is thinner blade stock. So that definitely helps it in the performance area as it applies to cutting through dense material. However, for edge retention, this knife did 103 feet fine edge, and at that point was testing 300 grams on the sharpness tester and would no longer shave arm hair. And again, all this is in a 1-inch section of blade. So, about from like here to here is about where I had my tape. And then on the working edge, it did 148 feet. And again, this was the average of 2 tests. And at that point was measuring 450 grams right on the money. So 103 fine edge, 148 working edge. So pretty good results for Chinese D2. It performed well and was really a joy to use. That blade glides through cardboard. It's impressive for sure. All right, now we get into the TwoSun. with 14C28N. This blade also did a great job of going through cardboard. Not a whole lot of resistance against this thing, and it wasn't quite as good as the Civivi, but also did a good job. And so fine edge holding on the 14C28N was 151 feet fine edge, and at that point it was measuring 310 grams on the sharpness tester. And the working edge on this one went 294 feet. So just shy of 300 feet, which I was super pumped on. This thing did extremely well. It exceeded my expectations, honestly. And it was measuring 450 grams right on the nose. All of these knives, when I put them on the sharpness tester, I did 3 tests, just because, you know, you're cutting essentially, it's about the diameter of dental floss. So depending on where you get it on the blade, the results vary slightly. So I would do 3 tests on each one and then average between the 3. So again, just to recap here, in third place we had the Centros, 86 feet fine edge, and that was 320 grams. Yeah, actually, I'm just in here looking at this video. It's already way too long. So I'll post the results up in the description below. Price on these 3. So if you look on Blade HQ, and I just looked there just to get some pricing real quick, the Centros, this particular one is $39.95. However, I'm going to put a link up in the description where you can buy this exact same knife for $36.95 with free shipping. So that'll be in the description. The Civivi Shredder on Blade HQ, it sells for $61. I'm going to put a link in the description where you can buy this same knife for $59.50 with free shipping. So check that one out. So $60 on this guy, $36.95 on the Centros, and the TwoSun TS-165 Oval, or the 165 Pane, which is just a little different configuration on the G10. It looks a little different. You can buy this one for $45 with free shipping, and I'll put links up in the description. So if you guys want to help support my channel, check out the links in the description below. Anytime you purchase something using those links, it helps me just a little bit. It doesn't cost you anything extra. I just get, you know, a little bit of a kickback. It's not much, but every little bit helps, right? So, $45, $60, $36.95. And guys, at the end of this, you can't go wrong with any of these 3. If you are looking for a knife that has, you know, if you're looking for something that's going to have the best edge retention out of the 3, obviously the TwoSun is your guy. The 14C28N is definitely going to be more corrosion resistant as well. So certainly out of the 3, the blade steel on the TwoSun is my favorite. However, all 3 of these are fantastic budget options. You know, if you're looking for price alone, you're not going to be disappointed here. You know, and the things that I said, you know, quote unquote, that are negative, this is still a really, really great knife. Do I wish they would change the pocket clip? That's really my biggest complaint about this knife, is the pocket clip, and it just creates a hot spot. But it's a standard, you know, hole pattern that you absolutely could either throw a Civivi clip on there. Most likely, I haven't tried it, but I'm sure you could probably do that. You could also throw on the TwoSun clip as well. And the TwoSun clip's going to offer a little bit deeper carry. And yeah, so anyway, guys, all 3 of these, you cannot go wrong. Check them out. They're great knives. And I guess for if I had to rank them, I'm going to say the TwoSun is first, the Shredder is second, and the Centros is third. But again, like I said, for $36, this is an unbelievable knife. Or $37, actually. It's $36.95. Fantastic knife. Comes in some different colors. Really amazing. So Dylan Mallory did a great job on the design, and my guess is he probably did not design that pocket clip. That's just a standard clip that CJRB is going to use on all their budget models. So anyway, that's what I had for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope your face balls enjoyed all this. And I will put the test results and all that up in the description. Have a good one. Peace.